Sam Bucky Hive, how does it feel to win? Does it feel good? Because I feel good. Hi, welcome back to Cherry Bepsi. My name is Mandeep or Mandeep. And last time I tried to do an episode commentary reaction thing, Disney claimed and blocked the whole video, so I ended up having to put out basically just my reactions without any context whatsoever. But it was still really fun. So I think this time I'm gonna get ahead of the blocking and just give y'all a summary of what I'm gonna be talking about and then commentate on it as I go. I feel like that'll be more fun anyway, honestly, but yeah, if you would like to, why did I say that so weird? If you would like to, you can go check out my first video that I did on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If not, that's okay too. Maybe you've had enough of that. That's fine. But yeah, I'm really funny and charming, so I mean, I would recommend that if you haven't already to go watch all of my videos, but if you decide not to, you know, it's a free country. Okay, so episode 2, can we talk about how I like literally predicted everything? I said in my last video that Bucky would see the fake dollar store Captain America and he'd be like, who the hell is that? And then he would show up and confront Sam about it and be like, that's not Captain America, you're Captain America. And then Sam would be like, I'm not Captain America, but he is. I'm very much a modern day Oracle. You know, we don't have to dwell on it. I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, okay, so let's get into this. The military propaganda in this one was out in full force once again. I feel like they actually ramped it up a bit in comparison to the last one. Once again, we are closing our third eyes, Garfield meme, I'm not immune to propaganda. We start off and they give us a backstory on John Walker, who is the dollar store Captain America, as I like to refer to him, how he was like a military guy and how he has his own requisite friend of color, Lamar Hoskins. Can we talk about how beautiful Hoskins was? I mean, like his cheekbones, his eyelashes, like John Walker is talking to Hoskins and being like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't know. Like, what if I'm not? Like, what if I don't meet their expectations? And the whole time I was like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man talking to me about expectations. Okay. And then he goes out to have like a little, you know, one of those fluff piece interviews with like Good Morning America or something. And they're talking about like, they're basically introducing him as Captain America and like getting the public used to him and everything. And they bring up a special ops mission that they did in Chile. And I'm like, oh, toppling another democratically elected leader in South America? That's very American of him. And then he's like, oh, I don't even know why they would have chosen me. And then the like interviewer lady is like, oh, please don't be so modest. You committed so many war crimes and killed so many brown people overseas. And he's like, yeah, I did do that. And I'm like, okay, but was he a barb? Because my Captain America can recite every single word of Nikki's verse on Monster perfectly. Can y'all imagine if Captain America was like real? Like if like the US government tried to actually create some kind of like propaganda figure that was like blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and like wore the flag as like a uniform. Like we would clown him so hard. It's so funny to think about like in real life, the public reception of an actual Captain America would be. Also, this is where Bucky sees like the new fake dollar store Captain America and he gets all pissed. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, isn't Bucky from like the 30s or the 40s? Wouldn't he actually like seeing a blonde white Captain America over a black one? Like, why is he so upset? If you're asking me, do I think Bucky Barnes would be racist? Yeah, I do kind of think so. I know a lot of NCU stans like to pretend that he would have been super progressive and open to everything. But listen, this is a guy that was literally frozen in time in like 1941. Don't fact check that. And then he was literally controlled by Nazis and surrounded by Nazis for like the next 60 years. So I don't know where y'all are getting this woke king. I feel like Bucky would call me several slurs, only a few of which would be actually applicable to me. But you know, we're living in this fantasy world, it's fine. Also, I do have beef with how Bucky was like going about handling things in this episode, which I think is definitely on purpose. At least I hope it's on purpose, as in like they're gonna address it. It's kind of gonna be used to like frame Bucky's underlying biases, and like now Bucky has to learn what kind of fucking society that they live in. Like, we live in a society, you know? But like he shows up at like where Sam's like working, and he's like, you had no right to give up the shield. And I'm like, you have no right to talk to my man like that, okay? Step off, take a few deep breaths, and talk to him in your inside voice, please. And I was already kind of pissed. I was like, damn, is Bucky gonna be acting like this the whole time? Because I don't know if I can ship them with a clear heart like this. But Disney knew. They knew that they had lost me, or they would lose me very soon. So they quickly started up that, you know, witty gay banter, and they sucked me right back in. At first I was like, it's not gonna work, but it worked. See, that's what I was saying. I was like, if this show is gonna be produced by an allegedly homophobic mega corporation, the least they can do is give us like some very good queer bait moments, and I feel like they did deliver on that. So, you know, they're upholding their end of the bargain. Also, the fact that Sam calls him the guy with the staring problem, the way Bucky is in love with Sam Wilson. Maybe he doesn't know it, maybe he won't accept it, but we know he's in love with Sam Wilson. Also, the fact that Bucky just follows Sam to his little mission and then literally jumps out of the plane just so that he can be on the mission with Sam. That's modern romance. I actually really did enjoy like their banter throughout this whole scene. They're so cute. Also, I just want to say I really appreciate how like fun and silly and jokey Sam is. Like, I was really afraid that they would like nerf all his characterization from like the past couple movies and make him like super bland, super boring, and basically play like the straight man to like Bucky's like goofy ex-serial killer persona. But no, you know, Sam is like very fun and jokey, and we love that for him. I also love that they don't overplay it either, because like it could have very easily gone into like this, you know, crazy goofball who doesn't know when to be serious type of thing. But he's actually the one keeping them grounded throughout the like mission and being like the voice of reason. So he's like, he's silly yet smart. Like, this is the man with the plan, you know? They were going after the flag smashers because, I don't know, they hate poor people. Like, literally the flag smashers like were stealing medicine and vaccines to deliver to like poor underprivileged areas of Eastern Europe. And I'm like, hello? Like, one of the civilians that was helping them hide out literally called them Robin Hood, and I'm like, and I'm supposed to be against them? If they don't pull like a switcheroo, like reverse Uno card being like, we have noble goals and intentions, y'all need to refocus your energies elsewhere, like on Hydra, then I don't even know. But yeah, they sneak up on the flag smashers, they start trying to fight them, and then they're kind of like going back and forth with it. And then who shows up but Dollar Store Captain America and Hoskins. I forgot his superhero name. Star or something? Something to do with stars. Smashed Star? Shattered Star? No. Whatever, you know. But yeah, they show up, they start fighting the flag smashers. But fun fact, literally all of the flag smashers are super soldiers, so it's actually really hard for them to like fight them off. And then Bucky is like hanging off the bottom of the truck as it's driving at like top speeds, and Sam like swoops under and like picks him up, and he had to like literally veer underneath the truck to get him. They end up crashing off the side of the road, rolling down the hill on top of each other, and then landing on top of each other. And this was like, wow, they gave us so much. They said, we're gonna give the gays everything they want. And I was like, you did that, kings. Then they actually show a scene of the flag smashers, and like I said before, like a civilian in Eastern Europe is hiding them, literally helping them out, feeding them, giving them a place to stay. And I'm like, okay, so like why are we against them? Because like they're a little violent. I swear to God, if they try and do a whole like what they were trying to do was good, but the way they tried to do it wasn't, you know, the means don't justify the end. friends type of thing. I swear to God, how played out and boring of them if that indeed what they're trying to do. Also, it's like, how am I not supposed to root for the Flag Smashers? Like, they showed like a few people that are a part of the Flag Smashers. They were very attractive. We love a found family. I'm like, I don't know, like everything is in their favor. So, you know, y'all better pull something out real quick. Otherwise, I'm really gonna end up rooting for these guys. And then Bucky is like, oh, I want you to meet someone. He brings Sam to a guy named Isaiah Bradley. Basically, what we all find out is that Isaiah Bradley was also a super soldier. And so you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And even Sam's like, they used to have black super soldiers. And then Isaiah's like, don't get too excited because, you know, you would think that they would like thank me for being patriotic or like serving my country or whatever, but they thanked me by locking me up in jail for 30 years. And I was like, oh, are we actually going to be getting into like the racial disparities in incarceration rates? Because I mean, I'm sure Marvel is probably going to do like a very basic surface level understanding of it, but I'm still like, okay, you know, like, let's see where this goes. But yeah, he's basically like, I don't want to talk to you guys. Don't like, get out of here. Don't try and speak to me. And then he demonstrates his super soldier strength by like throwing something at the wall, and you're like, oh yeah, he is strong. And then Bucky and Sam have to leave, obviously, and then Sam is pissed because he's like, you knew this? Like, you knew that they had black super soldiers and like this is how they treated them? Like, and you can see like how frustrated he is and how angry he is, but he's also so sad because it's like, this is exactly why he didn't take up the mantle in the first place, you know? He knows that like, this is how America treats black people. This is how they treat black men. And like Bucky again is just not really getting it. And then there's like another display of him really not getting it when the cops show up in the middle of their argument and they like, you know, approach and they're like to Bucky, they're like, oh, is this guy bothering you? And then, you know, Bucky's like, no, leave us alone. And then they tell Sam to show his ID and Sam's like, oh no. Sam's like, I don't have my ID. And then Bucky's like, just show them your ID. And then I'm like, oh my God, you're such a white man. And then eventually, like after some more pestering, Bucky's like, do you not know who this guy is? And then another cop shows up and he's like, oh my God, Mr. Wilson, I didn't even recognize you at first, blah, blah, blah. And like, this kind of goes back to what I mentioned in my last video about how they view Sam as a black man first and a hero second, as in like, that's always gonna, like, no matter what he does for America, no matter what heroic acts he's done or who he knows or what honors he gets, like, he's still gonna be subjected to like the racism of American society. And Bucky like clearly just has no understanding of that or grasp of it whatsoever, which I'm really hoping is like a plot point that they're going to address and not just something that they're going to glide over and be like, Sam just had to get over his own internal struggles with being a black man in America, because if you try hard enough, you can overcome racism. And it's like, no, systemic oppression doesn't work like that. Then the cops do come back and they're like, there's actually a warrant out for Bucky's arrest. And it's like, because he missed his like last therapy session. And so they take him away. Sam meets up with them at like wherever they've incarcerated him, and Bucky's being let go, and they find out it's because Dollar Store Captain America pulled some strings because he's like, oh, they're gonna be working with me. And they're both like, no, we're not. And then Bucky's therapist shows up and she's like, listen, you know, you might have canceled the rest of my therapy sessions, but we're going to have an exit session with the two of you together. Like literally, like Sam, Bucky, Hive, how does it feel to win? Does it feel good? Because I feel good. So she's like, oh, this is like something I do with my married couples. And I'm like, oh my God, couples counseling? How cute. And like, you know, they totally are bickering like a married couple, being like, I wish he talked less. It's like, I was gonna say that about you. And so she's like, okay, we're gonna do a soul gazing exercise where you have to like stare into each other's eyes. And honestly, she doesn't even say like what the purpose of this is. They just stare at each other all gaily for like, you know, 30 seconds until the therapist realizes that they're just doing a staring contest. Oh, by the way, she also had them get really close so that their like legs are interlocking. I'm like, wow, they're really feeding us today, huh? And then they actually do talk, and you know, Bucky, they actually do get into the root of why Bucky's so mad that Sam didn't take up the shield. And he's like, well, Steve trusted you, and that's why he gave you the shield, you know? But Sam is like, I need you to trust me that I thought I was doing the right thing by giving it up. I also didn't know that they were gonna give it to some random, you know, like John Walker. Yeah, and then Bucky's like, well, like, I just have to like trust that Steve's instincts were correct, that he gave it to you, because if he was wrong about you, then that means he was wrong about me. And then it's like, oh yeah, because the whole conflict of Winter Soldier was Steve being like, Bucky is redeemable, and then if he was wrong about Bucky being redeemable, then, but it's like, it's not as simple as that. It's more complicated. And also, way to make this whole thing about you, Bucky. Okay, Sam is hurting too. He also has gone through trauma, and like, you just aren't interested in getting to understand that. Like, how are you gonna have a healthy married relationship if you don't even know that? If you don't try to understand and anticipate your partner's needs, you know? And then Sam is pissed because he's like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm out. And he leaves. Bucky follows after him, and as they're leaving, they, you know, run into Dollar Store Captain America and Hoskins waiting outside. And Walker, Dollar Store Captain America, is like, why don't we all just work together, like blah blah blah. And then Sam lays it out pretty clearly. He's like, listen, y'all are bound by like government contracts and authority regulations and stuff. You have to get through a bunch of red tape before you're like allowed to make any moves. And me and Bucky right now are working as free agents. It doesn't make sense for us to give up that kind of agency, you know, because we can just navigate as we see fit. It doesn't have to like go through a bunch of government channels to get approval and stuff like that. And then you kind of see the beginnings of Walker kind of being like a little piss baby, because he's like, okay, well, just like, if you're not gonna work with us, then just make sure you don't get in our way. And it's like very like giving me, he's about to turn evil. Like, give it a few episodes, like he's gonna turn evil. You know, like another one of my predictions from the first episode. This is my nail file. Oh. Anyway, and then Sam's like, how are we gonna figure out where to, like, how to track down the flag smashers and super soldiers and blah, blah, blah. And then Bucky is like, I know someone. And then they bring up Zemo, and that's where the episode ends. But I'm like, Zemo? But yeah, so that was episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't as good as the first episode, I will say that. I feel like a lot of it was kind of bogged down by like giving us the John Walker perspective, and then even like the Flag Smasher perspective to an extent, because like they don't ever actually communicate much about the Flag Smashers in like that short portion of the episode where we like see them. We get to see like they're good people and like the people appreciate them. But I mean, I feel like we could have extrapolated that from the fact that they're stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, but you know, it's fine. I don't know. This episode just felt kind of choppy and disjointed to me, but I still enjoyed it precisely because of all the Sam Bucky moments. So it's like, that was like the redeeming quality, you know? If it hadn't been for that, it would have been a very boring episode. I'm hoping it'll pick back up in the next one, because if it's gonna be just Sam and Bucky like going to talk to Zemo, I don't know. I don't really have any new predictions for the series. I don't want to make any amendments to my predictions just yet. I think I was pretty on track with my original ones. So hopefully, you know, Bucky learns about racism. Plot line happens at some point, and it's not just swept under the rug. But yeah, looking forward to the next episode. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. Maybe you guys liked it better than I did. I don't know. It was just, I don't know, maybe you could tell from how low energy I was in this recap, but I was like not as excited about it this one. I'm hoping it picks back up in the 3rd episode. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought, because I really did love reading everyone's comments and opinions on the last video. So yeah. And if you liked me, and would like to give me money, I have a Patreon where you can do that. So I'll put you in the back of my video. Yeah. Bye.